We're talking about Blue Jet Healthcare, buzzing in trade on the back of fourth quarter earnings, robust set of earnings. Revenue growth was driven by higher sales in their pharma intermediate segment. Varsha is joining in with more details of what worked for Blue Jet.
Thank you for that. So, good set of numbers, and that's why the stock is buzzing. Revenue growth that you're seeing is driven by higher sale in pharmaceutical intermediate. The profit improvement that you're seeing is due to high sales volume, cost optimization strategies that the company has done, and the company has also announced fundraising of almost 1,500 crore. Now, speaking about the segmental revenue, this is where this is what the highlighting factor. If you see, the contrast media saw negative growth of 9.5% year on year, but the pharma intermediates saw 446% year on year growth, and that's the reason why the numbers are quite well when it comes to Blue Jet. The high intensity sweeteners grew negative almost 12.5%, and if I were to talk about the contribution of all these three segments, pharma intermediates contribute almost 45% to the overall revenue, and this is the growth factor which will drive future growth. Contrast media contributes almost 40%, and high intensity sweetener contributes 13%. If I were to talk about the 5-year CAGR of these of the segmental performance, the contrast media grew almost 3.4%, pharma intermediates grew 83%, high intensity sweeteners grew 7.8%, and others grew to 269%. On the outlook, though, long-term revenue growth guidance has been given by the company at 15 to 20% CAGR, and the company is very bullish when it comes to CDMO. They're expecting strong traction from Europe innovators and also benefiting from China de-risking as well. And lastly, they're targeting GLP-1, that is diabetes portfolio, which all pharma companies are actually targeting. Cardiovascular and gynecology intermediates are some of the few growth drivers which will make company go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so no, Neeraj, we had such a great conversation with Blue Jet Healthcare today.
Yeah.
And the fact that they are building, just, broader picture, because these things get lost when we just cut out one bit of the conversation, that they are building back-end integration to reduce dependence on China. So companies that are managing to change that paradigm also become very important.
Yeah. In fact, hear out what the management had to say. I mean, he's spoken a variety of things, but this is probably one of the most important answers that he gave us. Hear out what he had to say.
This year, we are adding a capacity in one of our units, which is going to be for backward integration. Once that happens, then about 90% of what we buy will be localized. Our China dependence would be very minimal. With that, I think the gross margins will certainly show an uptick.
Okay. There's a fundraise that you announced, Mr. Singh. Is that for further expansion in the very near term?
See, we are a debt-free company, so our balance sheet is completely unleveraged. So whatever fundraise that we have will go towards growth. So we'll be building up capacity. In the last 4 years, we have quadrupled our capacity. In the next 12 to 18 months, we'll add another 40%. Beyond that also, we envision that we need larger and higher capacities given the customer lock-ins and business visibility that we have. And we'll also be investing in new R&D centers.
Well, solid guidance out there. Kush Bora, Pharma is in focus today. Just before we take that break, a word on Blue Jet, if you've looked at it. And parallelly, a word on Piramal Pharma, which on the back of slightly weak numbers has corrected about 4.5. And that's a very widely traded stock as well. So give us levels on both.
So Neeraj, Blue Jet Healthcare has been on my radar for some time. It's been popping up, every now and then. And dare I say that, your team have perhaps discovered a hidden gem. There are a few factors that are going for it. If you see the institutional holding, especially the FIs, has actually gone up in the last quarter. Since listing, the stock has more than doubled. Even now, if you see the recovery on this one has been fairly sharp compared to some of the other peers that it has right now already retracing more than 50% of the fall that it had from those 950 odd levels. So I think this is going to be an interesting stock in the coming days. Not a bad idea to keep some of it in your portfolio as a tracking stock. I mean, that's how usually I play. I don't have it just as a disclaimer, but yes, as a tracking quantity. So Blue Jet is a very interesting find, I must say. As far as Piramal Pharma goes, it did have those bouts of upswing, but didn't sustain. So right now, the broad range for Piramal Pharma is 230, 235 on the upside and about 200, 195 on the downside. If and when there is a range breakout, you play for that. Other than that, I think you could very well give it a miss.
Okay, all right, we'll take a very short break. Kush, hold that thought. We're coming right back with all the top ideas for the day, and of course that segment that you should never miss if you're doing anything in this market. It's heard on the street, all of the chatter, the buzz of what's happening in the market after this break.